Miranda Maverick. Andrea Lee is on a three-fight losing skid. She is 2-3 in her last five. She is 36. 35 is around the time that people start to expire and drop off in the sport. While Maverick is young at only 26, coming off of a recent W. She trains at a good gym, Team Elevation, same gym as Shavkat, Kamaru Usman, former welterweight champ, and Justin Gaethje. I see Marvin Maverick getting this done by decision. I see her being just that tiny bit more athletic, tiny bit faster. The only advantage I really see Andrea Lee having is experience. Val Woodburn versus Oban Elliott. Val Woodburn is coming off of a KO loss to rising prospect Bo Nickel. He took the fight on short notice after I think Gore fell off due to a knee injury. He's coming down from 185 to 175 welterweight to fight his Oban. His last couple of fights before joining the UFC, he looked slow. He looked, predictable against subpar fighters at Combat Night Pro. He overused hooks. I didn't feel like he threw enough, straights or kicks in general. While Oban Elliott's coming to this with a five-fight winning streak, previously holding the Cage Warriors title before fighting in Dana White Contender Series. Oban Elliott has a longer resume with better wins against harder fighters. He is faster with good cage wrestling, good head kicks that will pose a problem for Woodburn. Oban Elliott by decision. I see Woodburn struggling to deal with Oban's speed, reach, and height difference. Josh Quinlan versus Danny Barlow. Josh Quinlan's decision loss in his last outing. He is the older fighter at 30 years old, while Danny Left Hook to God, great nickname, Barlow is the younger fighter coming in with a two-fight winning streak by KO. Danny will have a 2-inch height advantage and an 8-inch reach advantage. I think Danny Harlow gets this one done by KO against the fence. I think that Danny's reach will be too much for Quinlan to handle. Moving up the card, Mingyang Zhang versus Brendson Ribeiro. Mingyang Zhang, winner of Road to UFC, coming off of a nine-fight round one KO streak since 2020. He's a bit of a can crusher with a bit of a sus record. He has KO power and okay wrestling as well as jiu-jitsu. He has been KO'd in the past, but since improved, he's a well-rounded fighter. He will be fighting with a reach disadvantage. He looked good in his last outing at Road to UFC with a first round KO, while Brendan Romero enters this fight with a three-fight winning streak. He seemed to be very hittable and was rocked badly in his last fight before joining the UFC. Since joining, he's looked impressive in his Dern White Contender Series match with a sub finish. I think Mao Yang Zhang gets this done by first round KO. I see Zhang's power and grappling being too much for Ribeiro to overcome. I just think that Ribeiro relies too much on his grappling, and I think he's neglected his striking. And I think even with a reach advantage, that Mao Ying-Zhang is going to be able to really put it to him. I think it's a different level of striking. Rinya Nakamura versus Carlos Vera, hyped undefeated prospect Rinya, the hybrid Nakamura with a 8-fight winning streak. Six of these fights were by finish. Nakamura also has wins at the gold at the 23 and under World Wrestling Championship. Ryan Nakamura's wrestling is straight elite. With him having KO power. Carlos Vera being the older fighter at 36, more experienced fighter. His last fights were on the Ultimate Fighter season 31, where he was eliminated in the first round. I see this guy being a free win for Nair Nakamura to style on. His record is very unimpressive. I think Rinya Nakamura gets this done by second round ground and pound. Like I said, Nakamura does have that nasty KO power. He's not just some pillow fisted, wrestler. This is a real finisher. High prospect. I hope he gets far in the UFC. Marcos Riria de Lima versus Junior Tafa. This fight was originally booked as Marcos Rios de Lima versus Justin Tafa, but Justin Tafa pulled out on short notice. So Junior Tafa is filling in on short notice. Big balls on this guy. This guy's filling in on just one day's notice. Marcos Roger de Lima is an older fighter at 38, mitigated by the fact this isn't heavyweight. He's a good boxer with solid fundamentals. He's coming off of a flying knee KO from Derek Lewis, of all people. Originally, I was going to pick Justin Tafa in the original fight, but after Junior Tafa pulled in. I thought to myself, damn, this isn't looking good for our boy Junior Tafa, but I have him winning the same way I have Justin Tafa winning. I have them winning via being Polynesian. I'm not joking. I straight up think being Polynesian is like having a all negative stat, like debuffs from being fat nullified. It's like you get only the positive stats up. It's fucking weird. Like I don't believe in like racial things, but I straight up do believe that Polynesians are just built fucking differently. No joke. I see them being able to handle a punch better than Marcos can, and I see him handing out punches better than he can. This is a dangerous, hard fight for Justin for Junior to win on short notice, but I have faith in him. I'm having to go by the underdog pick. Amanda Lemos versus Mackenzie Dern. I'll keep it brief. Both of these fighters are kind of shit with massive holes in both of their MMA skill sets. I see more of a problem with Mackenzie Dern's lack of any striking skills at all. Seriously, how long can you be a MMA fighter without any striking ability? Amanda Lemos via being a man de Lemos. Get it? A man. I see her winning via decision. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez versus our boy Roman Kopylov. This is a dangerous fight that could go either way. Kopylov has looked good in his last couple of performances, having some impressive KOs. Allegedly he's the son of Chase Hooper. So I'm going with him to defeat Andy Fluffy Hernandez. I think being Chase Hooper's son really does do something differently for your grappling. All jokes aside, I see Anthony Hernandez being a very big test up for Roman Kopylov. If he can handle one of these strong American wrestlers in the welterweight division, he is bound for the top 15 rankings. I say Roman Kopylov by round 2 KO or decision. Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo. Merab Dvalishvili is coming off of a record-breaking dominant victory over former champ Piotr Yan, setting a new takedown attempt record. He's coming in with a 7-fight winning streak. He's taller with a reach advantage again, as well as being younger against the older, aging 37-year-old Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo, the Olympic gold medalist, two-time divisional champion, coming in from a loss against the former champion Aljamain Sterling, who is Merab's best friend and main training partner. I don't think this fight goes well for Cejudo. I think the aging, him firing his head coach and losing to Merab's um, best friend and main training partner Aljamain Sterling is going to play a massive decision in this fight. I see Merab Dvalishvili getting it done via decision, via inbred strength. Geoff Neal versus Ian Machado. Gary, this is going to be my underdog pick of the card, really. I'm going with Geoff Neal by second round KO against Ian the Cuck Gary. Ian is a tall, lanky opponent with an impressive Muay Thai background. He's like, what, 6'3" at welterweight? You don't see that too often, right? He's taller than some of the heavyweights on this card, like Zhang and Ribeiro. But despite being 6'3", Geoff Neal has a 1-inch range advantage on him. That being said, Ian's striking defense is not up to par. I don't think it's up to the top 15 standards. I think that Neal's hand speed and punching power is going to be too much for Ian the Cuck Gary to handle. People forget that Geoff Neal's punching power was the thing that really brought him to victory against guys like Bilal Muhammad, Vicente Luque, in the God of War, bare knuckle boxing, fucking GOAT status, Mike Perry. I really don't see him competing against these type of guys and winning. I say Geoff Neal by second round KO. Co-main of the card, Robert Whittaker versus Pablo Costa. Also, my lock of the card, I'm riding with Robert Whittaker. He's still my boy, bro. Many people doubt him after his KO loss to Dricus du Plessis, questioning if his chin's still the same, despite Whittaker always being a bit chinny. We've known this since the Adesanya KO and the Stephen Wonderboy KO. I think Rob has an impressive set of skills in this like division where it's normally one or two skills that gets you to the top, right? I think he has the jiu-jitsu. I think he has the boxing, the kickboxing, the wrestling defense, the striking accuracy that really makes him like an all-round fighter. He's one of the best all-round fighters in the entire middleweight division, let alone the UFC. He's dirt like he has a good gas tank. He lacks punching power, but he everything else it's there. I think somebody like Pablo Costa, I think a pillow-handed pull-out merchant like Pablo Costa is just not going to be able to bring Whittaker to that finish line. I really think he's going to bring so many difficulties into this fight. I think people forget that Pablo Costa got beat by Marvin Vettori. All right, Marvin Vettori, a guy that Pablo Costa, not Pablo Costa, Robert Whittaker was able to smoke. I just don't see this fight going the distance. I really think this is going to be Whittaker by dominant decision. Alexander the Great Volkanovski versus Ilya the Matador Taporia main event UFC featherweight championship belt on the line. Alexander Volkanovski is returning to his division after a scary head kick KO from Islam Makhachev that he took the fight on short notice. Despite his head kick cut KO, he still came back for this fight. He's handled dangerous strikers like Elliott Taporia before, like Yair Rodriguez and Chad Mendez and Max Holloway. I see Ilya's lack of kicks being a massive problem for him in this fight. Like Ilya's only thrown like two kicks in his entire UFC career. I think this is just like I think it limits his game. It artificially limits his game so much. I think Volkanovski is going to be able to pressure him in a way that he's never been pressured before. Remember, his best win before this is fucking Josh Emmett in what is his name? What is his name? It's not Gary. It's something. Let me look it up real quick. His best win is Josh Emmett and Jai Herbert and Bryce Mitchell. Those aren't horrible, especially Bryce Mitchell and Josh Emmett. But Jai Herbert rocking you. I don't know, man. I don't think he's fought the caliber of opponents like Alexander Volkanovski. Man, his record is fucking good. I think people forget that, and I know he's hit the expiration date of 35, but I think if anybody can go push past the expiration date on all fighters at 35 in these lower weight divisions, I think it would be Alexander. Like, look, like just read some of the names. We're talking about like, let's go down. Let's go down. Fucking Chad Mendez, Josiah Aldo, Max Holloway three times, Brian Ortega, Korean Zombie, Rob Rodriguez. He brought Islam to a hard fought, long decision. I really think that the wrestling that Ilya is going to bring is not going to compare to the wrestling that Chaz has or compare to the wrestling that Islam had. Even if it was with Islam on a botched weight cut during their first fight, I still think it's going to be a little too much for Ilya to take care of. I think people are overhyping his hand speed. Not to say it's bad. I think Ilya is a top boxer, one of the best. We're talking about hand-eye coordination off the charts. You're talking about hand speed and power. This guy stood with 5 rounds with Josh Emmett and easily dominated him every single round. He went into the firing line with Josh Emmett and didn't get hit. He didn't get rocked. He shoulder rolled through everything. You know, I'm going Volk by fourth round KO, ground and pound. I see that Elias grappling's overrated, and I think Volk's gonna be able to mix it up well. Not leading with his head, hopefully, not getting caught with kicks because Elliott really don't throw kicks, and being able to mix up his striking as well as his kicks and use his grappling later in the rounds because we don't we don't know if he can defend takedowns for 5 rounds and still keep that type of energy for Ilya, but we know Volk can. So I'm going with Volk. It's gonna be a tough fight, no doubt, but I'm right with my boy Volkov. Even though he's hitting that 35, that mystical age where people just start like losing back to back.